Welcome back to The Messy Truth. I'm Van Jones. Now, we were tough on Republicans sometimes. Here's a messy truth for Democrats. Like I said, we kind of suck too. We claim to be for the working class, but we left out a lot of workers in the Rust Belt, as you saw. We claim to be the party for the next generation, but we offended all those young Bernie Sanders voters, and we never fixed it the right way. And as far as people of color, a lot of black folk don't feel like we're getting very much for our vote. So, yeah, I'm going to keep it messy for everybody. Both parties have to look at their problems. And so to talk about it, we've got the liberal activist, the rabble-rouser, the legendary filmmaker, Michael Moore in the house. Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it.
Thank you.
Oh, so... Now, I know you were hot about that last segment, but I don't want to talk about that yet. We got to talk about these Democrats.
Yeah. By the way, who suck, because there's no other definition for a party that twice in 16 years wins the popular vote and loses the election.
Yeah.
Well, you can't explain that to people in other countries. How do the Democrats they lose when they win?
Well,
it's like
But I want to get your opinion on it because, you know, the Hillary Clinton campaign came out, several days ago, and they didn't seem to really get the message. They were blaming the Comey letter for pretty much everything. You have to have a better explanation for what went wrong for Democrats in the Comey letter. What is it?
Well, first of all, I haven't been grieving for the last month because I got over my 5 stages back in June when I wrote a blog that millions read that said the 5 reasons Trump's going to win. And I said, and this is how he's going to do it. He's going to win what I called the 4 Brexit states. He's going to win Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Wow. So you got 4 out of 4?
Yes. I'm good for lotto numbers, too, by the way, if you need some help. But
let me ask you a question. You must have had a massive polling operation that the Democrats spent millions of dollars on, yes or no?
No.
You must have had huge focus groups, yes or no?
No.
You must have had a massive data set, $1 billion data set like the Democrats, yes or no?
No.
So so the Democrats set $1 billion on fire,
yeah.
And they could have just asked you?
Yes, right. And actually, I was actually trying to set up a meeting definitely in August and September, and I knew this was happening because I live in Michigan. Okay, so I don't live in the bubble. I vote in Michigan. It's my home. I grew up there, and I could see that, like the first family that you had on, there were a lot of Barack Obama voters that were going to vote for Trump.
You saw it coming.
Yeah, a long time ago, and it's because the people in the Rust Belt have suffered considerably, and nobody's been there for them. Not the Republicans, definitely. The Democrats are there sometimes, but not always. And they saw Trump as their human Molotov cocktail that they wanted to throw into the system and blow it up. They didn't necessarily, like you said at the beginning of the show, they didn't necessarily agree with everything with Trump, but they were angry enough wanting to make this point and send a message like they did in the Brexit vote in England.
Well, that thing was coming.
Message has been sent. Message
sent and delivered. You saw it. You tried to warn folks, didn't listen. We got people in the audience that have a lot to say about this stuff. And the first person I want to hear from is Michael Darr, who has never voted for a Republican, but he voted for Donald Trump.
Hi, Mr. Moore. I just wanted to say my grandparents are from Aleppo, so I'm the grandson of Syrian immigrants. The hate crimes against Arab people is definitely a very real thing, but I wanted to know why doesn't the Democratic Party disavow the violence against Arabs in countries like Syria with terrorist groups like Ahrar al-Sham, Jabhat al-Fateh al-Sham that they directly support with their policies? And will they focus on the people that are really dying and really suffering that they claim to care so much about in this country?
Yeah, I can't answer for the Democratic Party or these politicians, and you called them policies. You could also call them non-policies, and it's why I think a lot of people were drawn to Trump because he's that kind of guy who's going to do something, and he understands the importance of the perception, and he understands how quickly he can change the perception too because he changes himself.
Yep.
Every other day. But I think I want to say this to you as an African American. that while I have a lot of understanding as to why people I grew up with in the Midwest, who are like me, an angry white guy with a high school education, that's me. But you know, the thing is, though, you have a responsibility, no matter how angry you are, no matter how much you're hurting, to not vote for somebody who says things that are hateful, who ridicules the disabled, who says racist things. I mean, black people have been hurting for a long time, and they don't go to the voting booth and go, who's the biggest hater in the ballot here I can vote for? You know, we have a responsibility to vote out of love.
Let me tell you something. I like what you're saying, and I'm torn. On the one hand, I think what you've got is you have to recognize that hurt people holler, and when people are sitting on a white-hot stove, you know, they sometimes make decisions that other people don't understand. And frankly, a lot of the young African Americans protesting, they're confused by. So I'm a little bit torn. But what I like about what you're saying is that we've almost gotten to the point in the country where we're saying we're going to let the white guys they can't possibly think past their lunch pail. They just can't possibly. So we aren't going to actually ask them to stand with everyone else. And the problem we have now is the underdogs in the red states and the underdog in the blue states who have a common pain don't have a common purpose now, and they're mad at each other. Isn't it awful that poor and working class folks in the red states and poor and working class folks in the blue states are now mad at each other?
Well, remember, poor and working class is black and white and Hispanic.
Yes.
It comes in all colors. And many Americans have suffered over the last 20 years, and politicians have not helped them. So they're angry. In a state like Michigan,
part of what's going on, though, is, you know, we're kind of having this high-minded conversation, but I think about my liberal friends who are just basically in a 4-week-long freak out right now. I mean, we're talking all this lofty stuff, but you got a lot of Democrats that are just swinging back and forth between denial and blind panic.
Okay.
And you know, some of the stuff that you said actually might fall into that category.
Yeah.
So is the stuff that you're doing when you're out there? I'm just curious now, because I want Democrats to think and not just have, you know, crazy emotions.
No.
Sometimes you're out there saying, you know, talking about Nazi Germany and all this sort of stuff. Are you stoking up Democrats to the point where we can't even think as high-minded as this conversation?
It's not Nazi Germany we need to worry about. It's a friendly fascism of the 21st century. And I think Democrats, people who voted for Hillary, first of all, feel good about the fact that the majority of your fellow Americans did not want Donald J. Trump as their president. That's the majority by over 2.5 million. So take some comfort in that your fellow Americans, you know,
are with you.
Are with you. Number one. Number two, you know, we've got to get active here. We've got to.
I agree with that.
Can I just say this? Let me just say this.
And then I got to get one voice in here. You got to hear this guy.
No, let's hear the
audience.
Love this guy.
Yeah, that's good.
Go ahead.
So I want to bring in Chris Vitale, who I think's got something important to say to you.
When I was a kid growing up, I listened to Lee Iacocca tell us how this country got screwed on trade deals. Right now, Germany puts 19% tax on an American car that gets shipped to Germany. China does even more. China does that to ensure production in China. NAFTA was supposed to create a Mexican middle class. 25 years later, the average Mexican manufacturing wage is $2.49 an hour. Right. I don't necessarily believe that Donald Trump is a hater. I think he's a businessman. Tell me why I shouldn't have voted for him when my own union didn't back him and his own party doesn't back him on trade, but he's willing to speak the truth.
On that issue, I can't tell you that I can't. Because what he says, now what he'll do, I don't know what he'll do. You know, but what he says is that NAFTA was wrong. That's correct. It was wrong. TPP is wrong. All the whole unfair thing that got set up. And Democrats and Republicans screwed the working class of this country. And the low unemployment that we have now is in large part due to the fact that, yes, people have jobs, but they don't have the union jobs, the middle class jobs that they used to have. But let's see what he does with that, because ultimately he's a billionaire who looks out. He has an ideology that he believes in, and it's called Donald J. Trump. That's what he's going to make sure that he takes care of. I don't think he's going to take care of you, the working person.
I think he's done more for me than any Democrat's done in my lifetime.
He hasn't done anything for you yet.
He raised the issue. He raised the issue, and that's more than any of them have done.
Hey, let him talk. Let him talk. What has he? By the way, this is a
raised the issue.
Wait, hold on a second. He's a Chrysler worker, and he's from a state I think you've heard of called Michigan. So what has he done for you?
In a county you've heard of called Macomb.
That's right.
I can tell you this: no other politician in my lifetime has ever brought this issue to the forefront. And the fact of the matter is, we do get screwed on trade.
Yep.
And they tell these companies to be more global. Well, when you add $9,000 the price of a Jeep when it goes to Germany, I'm frankly amazed they can sell any of them over there, let alone a few of them.
Right.
And that needs to
when
change.
he doesn't follow through, when he doesn't get rid of NAFTA, when you're still screwed in Michigan 5 months from now, 2 years from now, where are you going to be then on this
How do you know he's not going to follow through, Michael?
There's nothing in his behavior. The man is, first of all, a malignant narcissist, and he's only about himself, folks. And you're about to see that happen in
I hate to say
Guess
this.
you could say the same thing about Hillary Clinton.
Wait, hold on, guys, calm down. I hate to be the one to say this. It makes me feel very odd, but he's not an idiot. He's got to get reelected. He's got to get reelected by these guys. Can't you give him a chance at least on the stuff you agree with them on?
I can't even imagine he's thinking about reelection. I can't even imagine he's thinking about, I got to do this for 4 years. Not fair.
Okay, listen. I got to get one more voice in here. Hey, thank you so much, sir. We got, give a round of applause. Thank you, sir. We got Rebecca Leapson here, a sophomore at Stony Brook University. She's got a tough political question for you.
Hi. So I've grown up in an era that's greatly been characterized by political gridlock. So with that being said, what do you think is the best move going forward for the congressional Democrats? Do you think that they're going to be as oppositional as the GOP was under Obama?
So. Oh, yes.
Or do you think they're actually going to try and reach across the aisle and form some sort of coalition?
No. This is not the kumbaya moment here. The Democrats in Congress, they represent the majority. The majority of Americans, let's say it again, wanted Hillary Clinton. The majority of Americans did not want Donald Trump. It is the responsibility of this minority of Democrats in Congress
to
block, obstruct, disrupt, and do whatever they can to prevent the onslaught that is going to happen with Donald Trump that the American people do not support.
Wait a minute. I keep feeling so odd.
I ruined your kumbaya moment.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
But let me just push back on you I'm on the left side of Pluto just like you.
Yeah.
But let me just say a couple of things.
I wore a tie for you, by the way.
And I appreciate that, sir. Listen, when the Republicans did this, they blocked our president on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you know who suffered?
Mm-hmm.
Those workers suffered.
Mm-hmm.
The kids in Oakland suffered. The whole country suffered.
Yeah.
Are you saying that now Democrats should have a policy of imposing that same suffering for 4 more years? You're saying we shouldn't even try to find any way out?
Their job is to stop the suffering that these people are going to cause. And let me tell you something. He's going to be inaugurated on January 20th. And January 21st, which is a Saturday, don't be surprised if the Republicans call a Saturday session of Congress, and they are going to pass law after law after law and have him sign it the next day, and it's going to be one piece of suffering against people after another. And it is the job of the Democrats now to stop the suffering that he's about to create for the American people. That is their job, and they have to do it, and they better be planning it right now instead of being the wimps that they usually are.
Well, and this is going to be, again, here's the messy truth for Democrats.
Yeah.
It's easy to say that, but when you got to go back to a district, and you got to say you're going to turn down infrastructure and that type of stuff, it's going to be a lot tougher than that.
I'm not saying turn that down. I'm just saying, but they better know when they go back to the district this spring, in the same way the Tea Party was there in 29, myself and thousands like me are going to be at those town halls in the districts in the spring. And we will primary them, these Democrats, if they don't do their job.
Yourself warned. Consider yourself warned.
That's the message.
Okay, that's true. Well, listen, I want to thank you, and we had an honest conversation here tonight. But this is only the beginning. I hope that you are going to take this conversation back to your dinner tables, back to work tomorrow, the water cooler, and your communities. Thank you very much. Stay human. CNN Tonight with Don Lemon starts right now.